I feel like this season of The Traitors has been so unhinged, and every single episode has had at least one big wow moment, and that's mostly thanks to Danielle Reyes. I mean, sis has been up there mothering all season long, and with only one more episode to go, her reign still is not over quite yet. Of course, we have a lot to talk about in this penultimate episode, but before we dive into all that, please make sure you hit that subscribe button below so that you can stay tuned as we wrap up this fantastic season. Now, let's get started. Now, this episode kicks off with Britney discovering that Danielle is a traitor, but before we get into all that, I just want to address some of the rumors that have been floating around this past week. Basically, there have just been rumors being spread around social media that Danielle actually tipped off to Britney that she was a traitor, and that the plan to get Carolyn out was concocted by both of them just to get Britney recruited. Now, as far as I know, these were always just rumors. Nothing was ever officially confirmed, even though Carolyn had kind of sorta admitted to the same thing in some of her interviews.
I 100% in my head was like, she knows she's a traitor. And she's like, what did they make a promise that she's going to bring her into the turret? That's what I thought. And that's all I could think of is she knows and she's getting brought in.
So yeah, Carolyn's speculations kind of sort of helped this rumor grow and blossom. But as far as I know, all of this is false. There was a Variety interview that just came out with one of the producers of the show, pretty much confirming that these were just rumors and that there is no way for this to actually happen, as the producers are listening to every word they say 24/7. So since production itself is denying it, I'm just going to take their word for it, even though we all know that sometimes production can lie about these things. But for now, I'm just going to talk about the show as we are seeing it. Moving on, of course, Britney then accepts the deal to be a traitor because, let's be honest, it is one of the best positions to be in right now in the house, and there's really no other choice because otherwise you will be eliminated. The girlies then go on to talk about who to murder, and this is where we hear Danielle say that she really wants to keep Dolores and Dylan all the way to the very end because she feels like she is very close to them. Now, I definitely understand the logic that Danielle had here when it came to Dolores, but Dylan, I'm not as sure about. I think Dylan has proven himself to be pretty smart in his game, and he's proven himself to be someone who is able to look at the clues and put things together to piece together who these traitors are. So I don't know if I was a traitor, if I would actually want him going all the way to the end, just because I could easily see him being one of those faithfuls that's able to figure it out and win the game and call out the traitors. Later on, as the group heads to breakfast, we see that the traitors do end up deciding to murder Tom Sandoval, mainly just because he was on to Danielle. I definitely thought it was a good strategy to go ahead and murder another guy, even if it was somebody who was already seen as shady like Tom, just because overall the guys are all kind of assumed to be innocent right now. It looked like the only other option they were really thinking about was Gabby, which I also thought would have been a good idea because she is smart, y'all, and she is on Danielle's ass right now. I ain't even gonna lie. She has the feeling that this Danielle versus Carolyn beef has been a traitor versus traitor one the entire time, and of course she's right. So now the traitors' new plan is to try to get Gabby banished. We see Danielle out there trying to plant these little seeds that Gabby has been a traitor all along because of her closeness with Carolyn. And we see people like Dolores and Dylan really take this bait and really start to believe Danielle, which I think says a lot about the strong social game that she must be playing out there. I know Danielle's edit has been chaotic this season, and we kind of sort of see her as a hot mess at times, but hey, there is a reason why she was the last traitor standing, okay? The players then head off to their next mission where they discover that the seer power is now officially in play. I know they did this on the Traitors UK this past season too, and it's basically an advantage that gives one person the power to know one other person's true identity. Wild. Crazy strong power. Something like this is obviously devastating to the Traitors games if they don't win, so going into this next mission, the stakes are as high as they've ever been. This mission gets broken up into 3 different parts, but my favorite by far was the very first part, that creepy clown challenge that they did. The other 2 were, not as good, but the clown one I loved. I loved how it was almost an equal balance of luck versus skill. As they're playing these games, the edit it kind of leads us to believe that Danielle is going to be the winner here and she's going to be the one to get the seer power. But of course, it's not officially revealed. We're not going to find that out until the actual finale. So heading into this next round table, there's still going to be a lot of work to do because so far, nobody really knows anything for sure, except for the traitors, of course. Back at the mansion, Detective Gabby is trying her best to get Danielle the hell out of there. Gabby is trying to piece together clues and pull out memories from weeks ago, which I thought was really good on her because at first, when we saw Gabby start to get hints about people and being traitors and people whispering in other rooms, I didn't really think that she really understood what was going on. It kind of just seemed like she had just brushed it off, but I'm glad she didn't. I want to really give her credit because it seems like she's really been up on it all season. She's been paying attention and taking notes, and now she's trying to get all of Danielle's people to come on over to her side. Meanwhile, Dolores is over there just still not getting it at all. She's still out there trying to cast rogue boats and trying to get Ivar out for whatever reason. I don't know what makes her so stuck on the wrong people like Tom or Ivar, but at this point, Dolores as a faithful is just kind of a lost cause to me. Child, just bring her to the end already. Overall, heading into the round table, it looks like either Gabby or Danielle is going to be in the most trouble here. And even though Danielle is more of a seasoned gamer, it's definitely not going to be easy because Gabby is coming in hot, okay? We hear Gabby calling Danielle out for correctly sussing Carolyn, and at this point, I'm starting to get pretty nervous because other people are jumping on board too. But Danielle is super calm in her defense pretty much throughout this whole exchange, and she does try to deflect some of those rumors back onto Gabby as well. We get to the votes, and at this point, honestly, I'm thinking things are definitely not looking too great for Danielle right now. But then all of a sudden, us, the audience, gets blindsided when multiple people start voting for Ivar seemingly out of nowhere. We already knew that's where Dolores was looking, but when Danielle and Britney jump on board too, I'm like, hello, what is going on here? But I guess it does make sense as far as the numbers go, because if Dolores is super duper headstrong about not giving Gabby the vote, then Danielle and Britney pretty much have no other choice but to join her in order to have any chance of saving Danielle. So the plan to switch does make sense, but I do think that the fatal flaw here is Dylan. Because Dylan is so sure that Ivar isn't a traitor, and of course he's totally right. So Dylan ultimately decides to vote Danielle out here, resulting in a 3-3 tie. Damn. Now the choice is between Ivar and Danny, and in her final plea, Danielle actually does something that I do really like. Instead of generally addressing the entire group, she takes the time to go after Dylan and try to address him and get his vote specifically. I think she just recognizes that Dylan is the one that's the true swing vote here, so that's really the only vote she needs. Now, of course, this doesn't really work at all. Dylan still votes her out. I don't think anything would have ever made him go against Ivar, but still a pretty good strategy to me at least. Now we are left with this crazy cliffhanger in the game as we see Britney actually contemplate switching her vote over to Danielle. Her reasoning was that she said she thought that she saw Dolores may have changed her mind via her facial expressions, so Britney just wanted to go with the grain to not out herself as a traitor probably. But if Britney really does switch here, that is like ultra messy because that means that Britney is actually the one putting the final nail in the coffin for Danielle, which, yikes. That's just like ultra messy because Britney just caused Danielle to get eliminated on this Big Brother spinoff show that they did like 2 years ago. So those wounds are still a little fresh probably, and that would just be the same exact shit all over again. I'm not really sure what the protocol is if they do get to a second tie vote in a row. I'm not sure what they would do otherwise, but if this has ever happened in any of the other versions of the Traitors before, please let me know in the comments below. But just by like looking at Britney's facial expression and the DRs that she was giving, I kind of wouldn't be surprised at this point if she accidentally on purpose betrays Danielle here, which would suck, but also, oh my God, what great TV. Like that would make this finale so freaking incredible, but at the same time, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I want to see my Big Brother girlies get to the very end. But ooh, the drama, oh God. God. No matter what ends up happening, I do still think that Britney is in a pretty strong spot right now, especially getting added to the turret so late in the game, especially since her name hasn't even been brought up in ages. But if Danielle does leave here, then I also think that the Faithfuls could easily trace that back to Britney since they've been so close this entire time. I don't know, statistically, I just feel like the Faithfuls have a better shot of winning right now, but I really couldn't tell you what's about to happen in this finale. It could really be anything. We only have one more episode to go, y'all, so if you have any final winner predictions, please let me know in these comments. You know, a few episodes back, I was saying that the Faithfuls were doing a pretty bad job and that there would be no way that they would win this, but now, I don't know, my mind is kind of changing. This season has just been such a glorious hot mess, and I'm sure this finale is going to be the same and it's going to finish us off strong. Of course, I'll be back here next week to recap the last episode with you all, but until then, bye.